Another panel, and I'd like to welcome up to the stage 3 clients who each have a unique story to tell around how they've embraced analytics into their organization. Now, do me a favor, hold your applause until we have all 3 with us, but please welcome data scientist, predictive analytics from Jabil, Erin Houseworth, head of information management at Marielle, Hari Krishna, and manager strategy analytics and business intelligence from Mueller, Mark Lack. Welcome, have a seat. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Take a seat. Welcome to our lovely stage. I always start the panel sessions the same way. I'd love to find out a bit more about you, what it is you do in your organization. So, Erin.
Sure, thanks. Hi, everyone. I am Erin Houseworth, and I am a data scientist at Jabil, focused on predictive analytics. Jabil is a manufacturing services and supply chain management provider with about 150,000 employees in 90 locations across 24 different countries. We make everything from circuit boards and electronics to medical devices and even molded plastic containers that you might find in the grocery store. So I'd venture to say that everyone here has probably interacted or used a Jabil product and not even realized it.
All right, good to know. A very impressive organization. Thank you, Erin. Hari, next up.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hari Krishna. I'm a head of information management, work for Marielle. Is a division of Sanofi. In terms of information management, we manage business intelligence, analytics, big data, data management, and planning services.
Great. Well, welcome to our panel. And Mark, great first name, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking the same for you. My name is Mark Lack. I'm with Mueller Incorporated, Ballinger, Texas. We manufacture and retail our own steel building products across the southwestern part of the United States. So I've told you 2 pieces of information that you didn't know until now. There's a town called Ballinger, Texas, and 2, there's an industry that sells metal building products. And we're part of that, but we do have this in the southwest part of Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, a lot of places that you need to protect assets from hail, the elements, wind, that sort of thing.
You have some pretty fearsome weather down there.
As you watch the news, you'll see it today.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you very much and welcome to the panel. You heard on the opening video before one of our wonderful guests say, I just love to hear what people do with the software, how they're deploying it. So let's explore that a little bit. Erin, I understand that you use various Cognos software pieces in your organization. Tell me how that's happening today. Well, how are you using it all?
Sure. So we use a number of the IBM Business Analytics software solutions, including TM1, Cognos BI, Disclosure Management, Controller, and SPSS. TM1 and Cognos are used extensively throughout the organization by everyone from our plant-based analysts to senior level executives to capture and report on financial metrics through simple dashboards and customizable workspaces. We've also automated our financial reporting through Disclosure Management, and we leverage Controller and TM1 to streamline our monthly close process. Over the past year, we've invested and kind of started exploring predictive and statistical analyses using SPSS with the intention that that will provide an added layer of intelligence on our existing investment in the other systems.
Wow, you're really in. I mean, everyone's at a different point in the journey, but your train is moving and it's moving fast. All right, great. Now, over at Mueller, you're using SPSS, right?
Yes, we're using SPSS. We bought it a couple years ago after we were actually at the Vision conference, and we saw how this tool could take our own internal big data and help us to understand exactly what we've been collecting all these years. My IT department's been fantastic in making sure we have plenty of data, but the question is how have we been able to unlock that? So what SPSS has made it easy to take this data, pull it into the modeling system, and give us answers very rapidly, and give us greater insight into this data that we've been collecting for a very long time.
All right, that's great. And you're also using Watson Analytics as well. Tell me about that.
You know, Watson Analytics, when I first looked at it, I didn't fully understand, how is this going to add to our organization until I started to really deep down get into and look at the time savings that I received from taking data, putting it in, and then getting results.
Now, in terms of that time, because to me that's one of the most remarkable pieces here is how fast things happen. And of course, businesses love it when they can get the results they want, insight they need a little bit quicker than they were expecting. Your C-suite, they're kind of loving this, aren't they?
Well, my CEO dropped in my office, as he often does, to see, Mark, what are you working on? And luckily, I wasn't using Watson Analytics at the time for my fantasy baseball.
Right,
I was actually using it to analyze the data, but it is a good tool for that. But he asked, what are you working on? So I wanted to show him, and I said, this is a new tool. And he says, did we pay for it? And I said, no, the great thing is this was free. And I said, I've loaded this data. I've got 9 columns of data, 10,000 transactions around our sales, from product to customer to location. And I showed how quickly, once I pushed the button, we got a graph. And he says, well, how is this different from what we have today? I said, let's ask it a question.
Right.
So we typed in, I said, what would you like to know? And he said, well, tell me about customer revenue by state. Type in, what is the customer revenue by state? All of a sudden, a graph comes up that shows our customer revenue by state. Instantly, it's up there. And I said, what's interesting about this, Brian, is you look across the top, there's additional insight around your question that you just asked it that we can now explore. So Watson Analytics is thinking ahead, taking what you've asked it and think, you might also want to look at this. And he paused. He paused for a moment, looked at the screen, and then looked at me. And a fear, you know, when the CEO gets quiet, kind of went through me. I didn't know if I was going to get fired or if he was going to like this. But his reaction was, this really changes things. This changes how we're going to interact and have information flow throughout our company. And I said, you're absolutely right.
That's great. All right, well, thank you for letting us know that. It does freak me out somewhat that your CEO just regularly pops into your office and goes, hey, Mark, what are you working on? It's somewhat challenging. And over at Merial, TM1 is the flavor of the day. Tell me about the implementation of TM1.
Yes, we use TM1 for planning, forecasting, and budgeting. Prior to TM1, we used to use Cognos planning. While Cognos planning is doing the way it's supposed to do the functionality, but due to its limitations, it's not actually meeting our growing dynamic business needs. So that's where we started looking at the TM1. And the TM1's in-memory feature that brings the most important feature of performance to the business.
It's the speed again, isn't it?
Speed, exactly. And providing the information in the real time to the business. That's the key of a TM1 implementation for us.
Now, in terms of TM1, how many users, and can you tell me a little bit about those users?
We have around 1,000 plus users globally. It's very exciting, like Cognos planning, we used to have like 200 users approximately. With the TM1 implementation, we moved from 200 to 1,000 users globally. We implemented in every region, with every entity of finance, R&D, marketing, so, and plus of course corporate finance as well. So everywhere we use TM1 for planning, forecasting, budgeting process.
Wonderful.
Sales and inventory forecasting as well.
So you're using it widely across the enterprise. That's great. Now, also, Merial is using social media analytics, but I'd like to know why you guys chose IBM Cloud Solutions to help you in that area.
It's a good question. So social media analytics is a very interesting topic. If you see social media analytics, we have 2 parts here. Social listening, analytics, right? For any project, if you want to implement social listening and analytics, it takes several months to get the project approval, get the business buy-in, get the infrastructure, get into the business. We don't even know that time actually is really worth of the investment. So with IBM SaaS solution, cloud-based solution, it'll be amazing to hear this. Exactly in a couple of days, not more than that, we're able to implement social media analytics, which covers social listening, analytics, both together, put that technology to find unknown, unstructured data, get the insights, get the actions into the hands of the business. It took just a couple of days.
Wonderful. All right, great. So let's talk now about what analytics has allowed our clients to do. Erin, do you have any results you can share?
We do. We've had pretty remarkable success with implementing the solutions. Through the implementation of TM1 and Cognos BI, we've been able to address quite a few inefficiencies in our finance organization. We've been able to reduce the amount of time it takes for our financial reporting by about 1/3. Of that, all of the manual effort that was previously done by folks at the plants, we've now reduced that by about 70% through the automation features. And our monthly close process, streamlined now through Controller and TM1, has been cut down by about half. Furthermore, we've been able to roll out a bunch of self-service tools to all of our analysts that are based at the plants and really enabled them to do their own deep dive analyses and come to better, more profitable business decisions a lot more quickly than they previously were able to.
How are the users reacting? Because I assume when it's first presented to them, they're like, oh, what do I do? But now, how are they reacting?
Yeah, you know, we've been on this journey for about 7 years now, so definitely the change management up front is something to keep in mind. But it's really very pervasive throughout Jabil now. People embrace it. It is a single source of the truth, and everyone relies pretty heavily on Cognos BI to get their metrics.
Very nice, thank you. Once again, Harry, I believe integration's been very important to you and the organization.
Integration in terms of TM1, yes. So as I said just now, we are using TM1 every entity, finance, or any other units. So we had to integrate this information with the corporate. So using TM1, we were able to do very easy integration. And also being a TM1 IBM product, we are able to integrate with the Cognos business intelligence technology as well. So you can take the TM1 cubes and publish in the Cognos without going through ETL and the regular data hosting. If you see this, we have the information in TM1 real time. Same time, real time, you can publish in the business intelligence to provide more analytics. So that's the value of integration. Plus, we're able to do online, offline capability of TM1 as well using Cognos Insight.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you. Mark, how would you say that analytics has changed the way you guys work over at Mueller?
You know, my goal at Mueller is to make sure that we have the right information at the right time to the right people so that they can make the right decision. And so the tools allow us to take all of this data, turn it into information, and distribute it across the enterprise, whether it's on the shop floor for the manufacturing group or it's in the C-suite to the executives, that they have the information they need to run the business. So what this has changed for our organization is when we meet now, we'll take 30 minutes of an all-day meeting and talk about what happened. The rest of the day is a value-added exercise as to what do we need to do to change our future.
Right.
So because we already know when we walk into a meeting, there's rarely would a question come up that somebody doesn't already know because we're that well informed. So it's really changed us from being a reactive organization to being a proactive organization, looking at the future and what can we do to meet our objectives.
And one more question for you. People are always fascinated to know, what have you discovered using Watson Analytics? And other people say, look, the toughest part is actually knowing what questions to ask.
You know, that can be a challenge. What's really nice about Watson Analytics is we talked about the time. You know, if you think about the traditional way that we're going to do either data mining or reviewing data, is you find your data, you put it into a system, you run it through the software, you run some tests, and you have this iterative process. Maybe you create a graph, you'll start sorting it, and then what do? We export it to Excel and we do some more. So what we've found is that by having this data into Watson Analytics, we pop it up. All of that iterative process that I just discussed, Watson's taking care of that. I don't ever take data from Watson Analytics into Excel because that's my new final point. And that's where I take my data. If I get a new data set or if I'm going to start some analytics today, that's where I go. And it's because it does the heavy lifting. It immediately goes from this spreadsheet into insights to answers. So the time has been taken away. I'm a lot more productive, and I have answers right now that I can share with the organization.
That's great, thank you. All right, Erin, last question goes to you. Your journey is, as we've already established, well underway, but what's next? Any new projects?
Yeah, so I think probably one of the most exciting things that's come about by bringing SPSS into Jabil is it's really prompted people to ask questions that they didn't think they could answer before. So one of the big questions that we're focused on now is we do a great job of leveraging data that we capture and we have internally, but what else is out there that maybe we're missing and might provide valuable insight and allow us to do better for our customers? So we've just finished a proof of concept looking at external data to look at social media sentiment specific to some of our more consumer-facing products and analyze how that correlates to the demand that we receive from our customers. So the whole idea behind the project was that if we could identify significant relationships between sentiment trends specific to those products and correlate those back to shifts that we see in purchasing patterns, then we can use that social media sentiment data as an input to an SPSS forecasting model and proactively be prepared for unanticipated shifts in purchases and demands that we wouldn't have seen coming otherwise.
Right.
So just last night, actually, I received an email from one of our supply chain guys asking me to hurry up and get back from Orlando so we can figure out how to get it into production.
That's so cool. But also the sentiment analysis piece is fascinating because the system has to know that when someone goes, this is sick, they don't feel ill, it's really good.
Yep, and that's probably the biggest question that comes out of the implementation. You know, all the supply chain people were very concerned about that, especially since a lot of our products are not produced in the US and we sell globally.
Right.
We've tested with the IBM social media analytics application, and it is quite impressive what it's able to pick up on with virtually no customization on your end to get it to function properly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, your customer panel. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so